Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kopano Ramashala and I'm the founder and CEO of Bakwena Telecoms. And we're here again today to continue on the video series of how to make money from hotspots like a boss. And in today's video, we're here to go into very much requested things from you viewers, and that is, what equipment do I need to start a hotspot business and how much does it cost? So first things first, there's various categories on how to start your hotspot business. Today we're going to cover the first point, which is the hardware, the actual physical equipment that is needed for you to start your hotspot business. And that will cover first point, your access point, second point, our routers. We will, of course, go into other things in the next video, for example, how to manage your hotspot, etc., the type of internet that you're also going to need. And yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, you need an access point. An access point is the actual physical piece of equipment that people will connect to, the piece of equipment that will broadcast the signal to everyone else so they can see it on their phone, their tablets, their laptops, their TVs even, and so on and so forth. Things to look out for when you're choosing the perfect access point. Point number one, you need to consider whether you want an indoor or outdoor hotspot or access point. If you're going to look for indoor, that's obviously you're going to be servicing an indoor place, namely your flats, etc. And you're going to have to look for something that will be suitable for that. But if you're aiming for more of a outside setup, it's obviously going to need an outdoor hotspot because it will be weather resistant to your rain, your sunshine, dust, etc. Point number two, you need to take into consideration the type of frequency that you want to use. So there's namely two types of frequencies, which is 2.4 gigs and your 5 gigs. And you need to consider obviously the types of devices that would be connecting to your hotspot. Majority of phones these days, they are able to connect to both. So it's safe to say having a dual band access point is your best option. And let's not forget, while we're talking about frequency, we have Wi-Fi standards of Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6, and even Wi-Fi 7. So it's best to consider which one you want, and it'll obviously differ in price point. But generally, I would prefer for us to go for Wi-Fi 6 as a means to sort of future-proof things. Not many devices can connect to it, but most will be able to connect to it and use it sufficiently. And the biggest point of Wi-Fi 6 is that the capacity is larger. Next point, the antenna power. So the antenna power is usually measured in dBi. It will be written on most of the data sheets or the boxes of the actual access points themselves. And yeah, man, depending on the coverage area that you want to push, it's safe to say the lower the dBi, the smaller the coverage. The higher the dBi, the more extended the coverage area will be. So a majority of some of the access points that I'll be covering in this video, from the lower range, they'll be covering maybe your 30 to 50 meters radius. And yeah, the Pro kits obviously will be covering a larger and greater distance. So you need to always look at the dBi when you are researching in terms of the antenna power. What you must note is some of these access points can obviously link together, what we call mesh, and you can form a greater coverage area in that way if that's what you want to do. The next point are additional features. Some of them have additional features like your MIMU, multiple in, multiple out, MIMU, and so on and so forth. You can do further research on the additional features that each access point has. but generally they should be up to good standards these days. Most should be able to do MIMO. Yeah, it's confusing. It's MUMIMO. So it's multiple users, multiple in, multiple out, meaning it can send and receive data for multiple users at the same time. And then, yeah, as I said, the coverage range is what you also need to look out for, and your power of your antennas will definitely affect that. Now we go into the next point of what you need. You need a router. A router will be the piece of equipment that will be used to actually control your hotspot or your customers, as well as get your internet in, you know. So you're going to need to connect your internet that's coming in that you'll be reselling onto that specific router, and it will be the one that will be controlling everything, authenticating your clients. On some routers you can even create your actual hotspot page, that landing page that people will go onto, and create what we call a walled garden, whereby you'll also put in a list of, you know, IP addresses or website that customers can visit for free, and then the rest obviously will be paid for. What you need to look at in terms of the router that you choose, you need to obviously check at your budget. We're all trying to do the best with the little that we have. So that's point number one. But don't go below a certain budget or too budget, you know. What you need to look for is routers with a good CPU, the latest probably ARM CPUs that can handle 880 megahertz upwards, routers with a good amount of RAM, and routers that have a good amount of space. Some of them might also have a USB port or a micro SD port, whereby you can also add the storage that is there. So that's what it is. So what I've basically done for everyone to make things a bit easier with this video is that I've created certain packages. So basically we'll go from your beginner package, which costs a whole lot of cheaper, to your pro package that is relatively more expensive but more advanced. But you'll get to see what I mean as we go into the next segment of these packages. So the first package, that is the starter pack. That's what I call it. It's a relatively good beginner package that you can put together. And please note that these are just recommended pieces of equipment. You can go with any brand or piece of equipment that you want, but they should be at round about the same specs to get the same result that you want. So the first package, the starter pack, includes two things. Obviously an access point and a router. And first things first, on the starter pack, the router that I've chosen to go with is a MikroTik firstly, and it's the Hex 5-port gigabit. It has a good CPU, it has good RAM, and it has good enough storage that you can push around about maximum 100 clients, and you should not have any issue. Number two on this list in your package, you have what we call a Cuddy AP1300 1300 dual band access point, which is Wi-Fi 5. That is also quite good. It can give you relatively that 100 users, and its cost, because that's something that you're looking for, is 995 Rand, or around about plus minus 54 US dollars. The MikroTik Hex 5, it's around about 1,295 and 69 USD. So that would give you a good starter pack, whereby you can connect around about, as I said, a max of 100 simultaneous users, and yeah, you can make a little something from that. Next package is the intermediate package, and in this intermediate package I have two possible outcomes. The first one, it starts with another MikroTik router. It's very good for what we want to do. Got a dual core processor, It's got good RAM and storage, and that's the MikroTik L009. It's around about red in color, and it should tell you what it can do. This can basically connect around about 600 customers max in terms of the router's processing. And yeah, it's pretty good. And you're looking at a cost of around about 2,550 and 126 USD. Next on the list, with the first option in this intermediate package, I've selected another Cuddy access point, which is the AP3000. Its cost is around about 1,395 or 76 USD, and it's got a 3,000 megabits per second capacity, hence 3,000, which can get you that 600 clients. And one thing you must also note about it is that it's Wi-Fi 6. It's also a dual band access point, and it's got greater capacity because of the Wi-Fi 6 compatibility that it has. So the second package, or the second tier of this intermediate package, same router, the L009 MikroTik, as well as a different access point that I've selected. In my previous video, you might have noted I did mention a good access point that you can use that's Wi-Fi 6, and that is the Muntbox AX. So it's also a dual band access point, but one thing you must note is that it's got 90 degrees coverage. So that's roundabout like that, you know. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, that's roundabout that. And its price is 3,795 Rand, or it could be around about 206 USD. Now, why I would go for this is that you could have two uses for it. If, however, you're looking to have a mini tower or mini pop, whereby you can have users connecting to a hotspot via the 2 gigahertz frequency, and you can have wireless to the home clients connecting to the 5 gigahertz frequency via having a client CPE, for example, a LHG dish that they'll connect to your tower and have a router indoors. So you can hit sort of two birds with one stone. Have clients that are connected on the 5 gigahertz frequency using, as I said, CPE devices like a dish, and then have your close by users that are using phones and laptops to connect to the hotspot using the 2 gigahertz frequency. So those are your two options in terms of the intermediate package that I've put together. In our final package, which is the Pro package, for the Pro Vuvus, we have quite a mix of equipment, and one thing you must note with this Pro package is that I've made it in a way that you can also power this without having any power. So with this Pro package, it's for those people who want to use solar power as their power source, or have a backup for the access point as well. So first things first, like we did in the intermediate package, the router of choice is the L009 from MikroTik, and as I said, its price point, it is 2,550 Rand or 126 USD, depending on where in the world you are. Secondly, I have a great access point. It's actually quite new. It is the Huawei AP761, and this is a very good access point. It's also Wi-Fi 6, and why I've recommended it for this price point is because of its high density and its coverage range. Real world examples, people have been able to get as much as 20 megabits down and up, being connected 500 meters away. I mean, 500 meters, half a kilometer, guys. That's a great distance. Most of the access points that I've mentioned before obviously have a low antenna power. Even the ones that are in the intermediate kit, which have a higher antenna power, can connect users around about maximum 150 meters, and this Huawei AP761 can take you to 500 meters while you're still connected and using great bandwidth. So that is the first point. Also, high density, meaning you can connect up to 1,024 clients on this access point, still be good, still be great, and still be running very smoothly. The technology that Huawei has come here with is very good and very great, and I'm happy to say I'll be using these access points into the future. And now lastly, the last piece of equipment within this Pro kit is the Fusion FTP300. This is a brilliant piece of equipment, especially for us that want to be able to get to a place, put up an access point, put up your solar panels, plug it all in, and know that you're scot-free. You don't need to pay power to anyone, and you can basically deploy your access point anywhere and anyhow. This piece of equipment features lithium, life PO4 batteries that have a capacity of 300 watt hours, which can power a hotspot system for possibly 60 hours or less, depending on the power draw. But it's a beautiful thing to have, and you can sort of go off grid with your access point. Now, before we go in further, I forgot to mention the price of this Huawei AP761. It's going at around about 4,000, give or take 4,600, depending on where you buy it. And when it comes to the FTP300 controller, which you can also connect to remotely and see how much energy is being consumed, how much energy is left in the batteries, how it's charging, etc., etc. That's going at a whopping 24,999 rands, which is killer. But when you look at the costs of power and the convenience of having that power your router, having that power your access point, having that power possibly your internet link that's coming in, it's an absolute no-brainer. And in some countries where there's issues with power, it would be your best bet to have that in. So that's round about it, ladies and gentlemen. I have covered now the various kits, your starter pack, intermediate kit, and your pro kit. And those are the sort of things that you should be looking into, and that's the type of equipment that you should be investing in, depending on how heavy your pocket is. If it's very light, you'll obviously start with the starter pack. If it's relatively heavy, then you can go with your intermediate kits. And if you've got a heavy pocket, then it's a no-brainer. Use the Pro Kit. And don't forget, you don't have to go solar power with the Pro Kit. You can literally just use the L009 MikroTik router and the AP761 from Huawei as a good AP. As I said, good density, good coverage, and you should be able to basically connect a high number of customers simultaneously with that kit. So thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you very much for all of the comments and all of the emails that you've been getting. We value your input very much. Please continue to send more so we can assist you as much as we can. I'd like to generate more videos that will be able to assist you instead of, trying to do any consulting work for you at a fee. I'd rather you guys get all of this content and information for free. So be sure to send more emails, more comments. Don't forget to share this with other people so they're in the know. And those that are watching without having to subscribe, please do subscribe. As you can see with this metric right here, there's a large amount of you that have been watching the videos without having subscribed. And in order to catch more of this very, very interesting series that you guys are of course interested in, it'll be your best thing to subscribe. And in my next video, I'll be covering now the next point of having a hotspot business, and that is your internet. Thank you for tuning in, and goodbye. See you next time.